Welcome to Free Press Journal Exclusive. I have just travelled the newly built Samruddhi Maharashtra that is to be officially commissioned and opened on December 11 by the Prime Minister of India, Mr. Narendra Modi. I have with me exclusively to have an interview here with the DG War Room of the Chief Minister's Office and also Vice Chairman and Managing Director of the Maharashtra State Road Development Corporation, which is a nodal agency for the development of 701 km of Samruddhi Maharashtra. I must welcome Mr. Radheshyam Mopalwar. Welcome, sir, for this a kind of an exclusive interview. I have just got 5 questions for you, as you have been all through involved in this entire development from the project concept to the commissioning. So, sir, can you just narrate us how it has gone through?
See, it is now 5 years down the line after we actually started this entire exercise, especially after the DPR when we started tendering. And before tendering was required to be started, what was necessary was that we should have reasonable assurance that we are going to acquire land in a defined time frame. If you do not deliver the possession of land to the contractors, then the various claims are there, the project goes in a dizzy. So first priority of the government was to see to it that the land is acquired and acquired peacefully. Because for the first time in the country, a land of a volume of almost 20,000 acres was being acquired for one single project, and that is a linear project. That is where we actually went ahead, and we took a particular approach of engaging people in dialogue. All the way, all along 392 villages or 700 kilometers. We had almost 33,000 families to interact to. So what we did, we created a communication office. We deployed boys and girls who had done Master of Social Work and those who were good at the communication. And the idea was to tell people that this project is not going to harm them, but it is going to benefit them. The then Honorable CM had very specifically said, if this project does not benefit anybody, we will not take it. Absolutely. So everybody was required to be brought on board, and fortunately we have been able to communicate this to people. And you will be very happy to know that out of the entire land, 96% land was by consent. And rest of the 4% also we were required to go through the legal process, because there are legal issues of concurrent ownerships and trusts and the inams and Court of Arts Act, where it was not possible to even obtain the consent. So by and large, so that was a big challenge. Second challenge was environment, because when you have one single project of 700 kilometers, it goes through various kinds of topographies and land ownerships, like forest land will be there, revenue land will be there, various projects will be there, various departments. It could be the irrigation department, the public utility like water supply, electricity. All those challenges were too many. Even gas pipeline. Actually, what we encountered after some time was even gas pipelines, petrol pipelines were passing through the alignment. Yes. So these challenges, the first thing we did was, before we could give our order, we ensured that we comply with all the regulatory requirements like environment clearance. We got the environment clearance. Tough was the forest clearance, because we were going closer to the sanctuary. At the end, we realized that we were not passing through the sanctuary. But then Wildlife Board and Forest, we had taken some retired forest officers on board, and we focused on the clearances. So, and then getting competent contractors was another thing. That's why we said that the contractors who have good track record and those who are profit making, and we didn't want to get stuck into a situation we appoint a contractor and the contractor doesn't have resources, whether fiscal, financial resources or manpower resources or an experience. So all those issues were there. We tackled it over entire 2018, and on 1st January 2019 we started it. So it was a great journey, and especially when COVID came, COVID actually set us back by 18 months. I know in 2020, when 40,000 people were working on the site, that entire Ghar Wapsi program started, with the people were required to be sent back to their, because by and large the labor and the skilled labor comes from East, UP, Bihar, Jharkhand, Assam, Bengal. So that did affect us adversely. From 40,000 we almost came around 20,000. But the worst part was not the first COVID, it was the second wave of the COVID, where manpower was there, They were not wanting to go back.
Yeah.
But then there was oxygen shortage, and oxygen shortage was in the fair months like March, April, May, and 55% of the cost is on structures, and structures couldn't be constructed because there was no oxygen to weld. And oxygen plays a great part in structure construction. So these were the things. That's why, had COVID not been there, I think we would have had this opportunity of inaugurating this entire expressway maybe at least 6 months before this.
Okay, sir, the immediate question which comes is that, the Chief Minister has talked about this is definitely going to be a game changer. This will certainly boost an overall development of the state because there are about 10 districts which will immediately benefit apart from around about 24 districts, Can you just narrate how it will be beneficial for the state as a whole?
So, today 60-65% of GDP of Maharashtra comes from Bombay, Pune, Mumbai, Pune and Nasik triangle, or maybe thrown in Aurangabad. So Maharashtra, the entire development or creation of jobs is all concentrated in a particular geography. Whereas the rest of Maharashtra does not have that advantage, and that advantage was actually leveraged by this triangle, what was called Golden Triangle, and the remoter parts of Maharashtra like Marathwada, Vidarbha, Eastern Maharashtra, that always actually had to stay away from the fruits of development, despite the fact that 90% of the natural resources like forest, cement, in fact, even paper industry, 100% paper industry is here, cement industry entirely is here, you have steel industry, more than 50% of steel is produced here, more than 50% of Maharashtra's power is produced in this part of the geography. Despite rich in natural resources, there was no connectivity. It used to take, it takes actually 18 hours from Bombay to Nagpur. So it was difficult to bring industry here to create more jobs, manufacturing jobs. That, after manufacturing revolution, you have an IT revolution. Since the skill sets are created in the skill sets are in demand in Western Maharashtra or maybe Mumbai Pune belt, this part there is actually a migration of people from this part. Whosoever is educated goes there. So this particular expressway brings this entire geography. Directly 10 districts, but 14 districts which are adjoining in for 20 to 40 kilometers. All those districts are now connected to Mumbai. And for anybody in Mumbai, for him to come to this part, even the government, in this 2/3 of Maharashtra is now covered by this. It was very difficult to even post government officers because they felt it is so remote, and it is now if you are going to reach Nagpur in 6 and 7 hours, and the interim part, which was the underbelly of the Western Vidarbha, where it was difficult to actually even negotiate the. So that is where these areas open. New geography, what expressway does is opens a completely new geographies. Yeah. And in that geography we expect lot of activity, especially manufacturing activity, which will be now shifting, now actually will be taking shape in the eastern part of Pune and Nasik. So manufacturing, any other new, now for example, this drone setup that is supposed to be coming to Aurangabad or maybe even east, defense related activities, and this area caters to almost 60% of the farm produce. All those issues they will be actually will be much easier to now, and this the game changer is, before we actually completed even commissioning of this, we are talking about connecting every district of Maharashtra via expressway.
Yes.
Government has already announced Nagpur-Goa expressway. We have already announced our DPR is already in preparation for connecting Gondia, Gadchiroli. We are connecting Nanded. The entire Maharashtra gets into coverage. So, and from Aurangabad, the another expressway government of India is taking to Pune and then to Bangalore. Then you have Surat Chennai, which is passing through Nasik, Nagar, Bid, Usmanabad, Solapur. So all this now it opens up. That's how it is a game changer. Suppose we had not spoken about this expressway 7 years before or 6 years before, I think the logical progression to this kind of explosion of interest in big infrastructure and connecting and shrinking the space in Maharashtra so that people are closer. The manufacturing activity is spread across the state. Opportunities actually are harnessed and created across the state. This talk would have been only a talk. Now there is a possibility of realizing that talk in actually practice.
Great. When it comes to for a layman, can you just tell us and some more details about what is the overall cost that has gone into this? And how it will turn into, as we always say, a crisis turning into an opportunity. This is definitely, which was earlier a crisis because there was a huge opposition. But as you rightly said, 96 or 98% of the land, of 60% of the land has been acquired through consent. So all these factors taken together, can you just give some information about the cost structure, how the funds were mobilized, and what will be the revenue return that you are expecting over the years?
See, this is a user fee based or toll based road, because all expressways are such kind of big assets cannot be from the state revenue or from the revenues of the state. It has to be user fee based. So users have to pay for this infrastructure. But the sovereign responsibility is to acquire land, to actually provide all the assistance and regulatory clearances. So government actually put in almost 27,000 crores of equity there, and 28,000 crores, that's total 55,000 crores is the cost. 28,000 crore came as actually the debt, and this debt is to be repaid over a period of 25 years. A concession period, toll period is 40 years. So it is, now we are realizing down the line, another 2 years when the traffic will be stabilized and all, we may actually raise inmates or something and pay back the entire debt right away. See what happened when we created Mumbai-Pune Expressway. When we securitized the future revenues of it, we could put in actually almost 7,000 crores in this expressway. So whatever value this expressway creates, we create another revenue stream or another fund which goes into creating new infrastructure. Yes. So this is a earlier vicious cycle of no resources, no infrastructure, no productivity, no taxes, no resources. So that vicious cycle now will be converted into a virtuous cycle where we create infrastructure, it creates resources, those resources are plowed back in new infrastructure, that infrastructure creates another opportunity for creating more resources. So this is a virtuous cycle which will now actually be come into play.
Yeah. And can you just tell us, if you have got something information about, readers would or the viewers would like to know what kind of, the cement which has gone into, the steel which has gone into, what was the manpower, as you rightly talked about, some 40,000 guys were there on the job. So can you just tell us for the viewers' benefit how it has all structured and it has come to a reality now?
See, it's very interesting. The volume, as I said, there are almost 5,000 machines which are deployed, 40,000 people at any given point of time which are deployed on the job. Cement and steel, fortunately, we have a lot of resources. It is not like something like 2004, 2006. There is a lot of crunch and steel was required to be imported and all. So we have adequate stock. The only thing is, the prices is different. The challenge was from 36,000 rupees ton, we have gone to now 65,000 rupees plus minus per ton of the price. Fortunately, the entire expenditure on the structures was almost front-ended, because structures are required to be done first and then only you can do the highway. But still, you had COVID and structures got delayed. But this being a EPC and almost a fixed cost contract, we had no adverse impact on it.
Sir, just last two questions. There is always a talk. I still remember when Mr. Gadkari was, conceptualizing all those Mumbai-Pune Expressway. We all used to have a direct, debate and a lot of quarrel or debate basically about that conflict between a human being and environment. There were reports about that squirrel that they may get killed. Some, very species which are of a unique nature, they will be perished and whatnot. So what kind of, environmental issues that were tackled here, and how you were able to convince who are still not so sure about conservation of environment while constructing this project?
This is a very important question, especially MSRDC was fortunate enough to create the first expressway in the country, and we in 97, like with hindsight we can say, in 97, 98, 99, we realized what are the challenges. And those were the days when environmental challenges were not as mainstream in the public mindsphere as it is now mainstream today. Now everybody is concerned and information is available at the tap. So what we did this time when we were creating the detailed project report, we actually partnered with the Wildlife Institute of India right away. We said whatever we are doing should not have any adverse impact on the natural habitat of the wildlife, number one. Number two, see, any project does have an impact. So how do we mitigate to a nullity kind of thing? Yeah. So mitigation measures. Third thing is when you propose measure, whether it is implemented and it is actually a reality. So this partnership has really gone a long way. And whatever they suggest, actually there was a cost implication of getting Wildlife Institute of India on the board, because it costs additional 350 crores. But then we took it into stride and we ensured that whatever they suggested or more than that we did. First of all, they conducted for first 2 years, 1.5 years to be precise, a study across entire stretch. And then they actually classified in focus area, non-focus area, where the sanctuaries are closer, where sanctuaries are not there, but there is still a wildlife which is not in sanctuary, which is otherwise. So all those focus areas, non-focus areas, what mitigation measures are required to be there, those mitigation measures were implemented, and that's why we had a high power committee used to review it, and I think everybody was pleasantly surprised that what they want now, which is otherwise, everybody feels state as an institution is callous toward the wildlife or environment or dismissive about the concerns. Here we wanted to establish, no, state is not callous, state is quite sensitive about these issues, and state will respond to these issues, and state will act upon the propositions that are coming our way. We have done that.
One of the beauties, of this project which I visited right now is that a cohabitation of a man and an animal. What Mr. Mopalwar and the agency has done is that from below the highway goes, while at the upper level they have created a sort of a bridge which will have a natural ambience so that the animals can travel into. Can you just tell us now how it has been conceived, and has it been suggested by the Wildlife Board?
Yeah, there are two things. One is State Wildlife Board, and which created a high power committee under the PCC Wildlife. Second was the partnership with the Wildlife Institute of India. They still in partnership, and we have taken them on board for monitoring for next 7 years, post completion of it, so that it is not that down the line we actually start neglecting.
Right.
So what they suggested 84 structures for the easy movement of the wildlife across the length of the entire expressway. They suggested 8 overpasses at 8 places and some 76 underpasses. We have actually constructed 92 underpasses and 8 overpasses. These overpasses, because if the hill is cut on either side, there was a habitat. Now, they should have wide enough, in fact they said we should have 60 meter wide, that 200 feet wide right of way. And there should be, what we should grow there is actually the species which naturally grow in that area, not the exotic thing or leave it unattended or something. And we have already set up camera traps there, And all the overpasses and underpasses, we set up camera traps. So we now started realizing, yes, wildlife has started using it. It's only habitat is basically habit formation also.
Yes.
Where will they go? So that we personally, I personally feel the issues of roadkill that we see across the country on all the highways, especially now developing highways or expanding highways, those concerns will not be here or may not be here. So we will be able to actually tackle this. So that should be a study in action and study in implementation also. So since we are now partnered for next 7 years, Wildlife WII will continue to have further studies, and now even Government of India has felt that the model that we have created could be replicated in other new projects.
Absolutely. Just last question. This is a matter of concern for those who are using such roads. Is definitely about quality, and secondly about to avoid any mishaps or accidents. Mr. Gadkari, who happens to be from Nagpur and happens to be the Minister Roads and Highways, has been very much concerned about the rising cases of accidents and how it can be curbed. He has suggested a lot of, states are also taking a lot of initiatives. As a VCMD, what kind of measures have been taken and how that awareness can be brought into the vehicle owners, users of this road, so that these accidents can be averted?
See, the accidents basically, the single most important reason is the non-engineering. Fortunately, this was a new project. Everything what is required to be done for perfect engineering is done. In fact, there is the Indian Road Congress specification, and we have complied with it, or in fact done better. And we have even partnered with Civil Life Foundation of India.
Yeah.
So we have now experience of working with them for last 6.5 years. So all their concerns, all their suggestions are already in that project, number one. Number two, when actually before 6 years, MSRDC never thought about ambulances. Here we have already tied up with 108. We have provided our own infrastructure to them. So that particular thing, that is emergency, the golden hour relief is already provided. Second thing is the quick response vehicles.
Yes.
In fact, we have a contract for another 10 years where there will be quickest possible response. Then there is patrolling. So basically, post incidents, lot of activities, lot of protection is there. So pre-accident, that is by what normal traffic, what we are doing, we are going to actually implement intelligent traffic management system.
Yeah.
See, lot of thing is a behavioral thing also. Number two, brake. See, a lot of saying that drivers don't brake when they have good road. So they must brake. So there are going to be, we said, amenities every 50 kilometers, so that there is an attraction for brake. The 24 fuel stations are going to be there. It will take another 2-3 years actually to take shape for all those things. It's a long-term thing, because it's basically as the footfall grows, these facilities take shape, because nobody is going to come and invest that footfall is not there. So, but it's in works already. We are doing, and we are going to actually implement this intelligent traffic management system. When I said behavioral pattern, lane cutting, overspeeding, every square inch of the road will be under CCTV. Intelligent this CCTVs will be there, where we will be able to find out who is cutting lane, who is overspeeding, challenge them in time, intercept them in time, all those activities. And it is a partnership with the government of South Korea. We have already signed a framework agreement with them on 30th of November, exactly 7 days before.
Great. And can you just tell us last about the quality? People are really concerned about that. You will find that, roads, despite, you're taking a lot of care, even though it is a concrete road, but it gets dug up. So what kind of, measures have been taken?
See, first thing is, this is an EPC contract with a built-in DLP, that is deferred liability period of 4 years.
Yes.
So next 4 years, I think, so the contractors have that interest that yes, DLP, they should not be penalized and all. And then we had a very rigorous mechanism of ensuring quality, rejection of the, in fact, we find that this particular product should have been, this concrete, the quality should have been 100 points, and it is now 98 points. Rejected it right away. So there is laboratories, number of tests, the authority engineers, a team of 22 people around the clock will be there for every slab, every concrete, every girder, every launching, whether the launching is correct. So all that was so meticulously implemented. So while creating, in fact, now people will see in another 6 days as to what kind of quality is it. We were reasonably confident that we are creating road of the best possible quality, and it should only improve. Yeah. It cannot go down.
Right.
So we have worked on that. I only hope the experience is going to be as good as we expect.
So friends, he was the creator and the implementer of this entire project. So tighten your belt and be ready for a joyride from 11th of December. This is going to be the first phase of 520 kilometers from Nagpur to Shirdi, and another about 180 kilometers of the remaining road will be opened. What Mr. Mopalwar has been telling us is that by July next 2023. So let's hope that this project, as Mr. Chief Minister as well as Mr. Mopalwar has been talking about, not only just a game changer, but this will be definitely boost the much required development for all sections of the society and all districts and regions. So let's hope for the best. And Mr. Mopalwar, thanks a lot for taking out this time to have an interview to me. Thanks a lot, sir.